We're coming to you today from Melbourne, Australia, and we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are recording, the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening to the recording today.
Before we get into today's show, a quick word about the Olfactive Melbourne Perfumery.
Brands featured on this show are available as a 4ml sample in our experience pack. Pick 3 fragrances and we'll send them to you with a QR code that links straight back to here.
So you can sniff along with the episode. It's the first interactive perfume podcast experience.
And the best way to discover Australian fragrance from anywhere in Australia. Fall in love with something? Your pack includes an exclusive discount on the full bottle.
Visit olfactiveperfumery.com and build your pack today.
Now, let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Olfactive Melbourne. I'm your host, Trent Stokes.
And I'm Robin Stokes. Today in the studio, we are so excited to have with us Alina, who is the founder and perfumer at ARAKYÁL. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Thank you for coming down to Melbourne.
It's nice to do this in person, isn't it? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
very much.
So just to kick off, if you would like to tell us just at a very high level, a little bit about ARAKYÁL. So first of all, have I pronounced the word right?
Very close. It's ARAKYÁL.
ARAKYÁL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Okay, thank you.
Have to keep practicing.
I'm going to have to. So it'd be great to maybe give us a little bit of an explanation about the name and also just tell us how long you've been around and where you are based. in
Yes,
Australia.
absolutely. So my name is Alina. I'm the founder and perfumer of ARAKYÁL. I soft launched ARAKYÁL in August last year and fully launched March this year. So quite new. New one on the block. I am based in Sydney, and my perfumes are inspired by my heritage, which is Armenian. So all the stories that I tell have something to do with Armenia, Armenian culture, history.
Fantastic. So the word ARAKYÁL
Mhm.
is obviously, is it an Armenian word?
Yes, it is an Armenian word, and it means apostle or messenger. And the reason why I chose that word is because I wanted these perfumes to kind of communicate things about Armenia to the wearer and the audience who comes in contact with this brand. I wanted to be kind of a messenger for the country. And I know that's a really big thing to say. So I hope to do it in a really respectful and lovely way and teach people something that maybe they, never would have found out if they didn't come across the brand.
Fantastic. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I always enjoy having that connection with either the word, what it means, and especially when it comes from another culture and it tells a little bit of the story of the heritage. I think it helps us to connect with the brand.
Yes, absolutely.
There's so many stories I'm sure you can tell when you're basing your brand on an entire culture, so the Armenian
Yes.
culture. So I'm
Yes.
sure that this range is going to continue to expand in the future, although you've already started with 3.
Yes, well, I hope so. And like you say, there are so many stories. You can never run out of stories from a culture. These particular 3 came into existence in different ways, and they were kind of coupled together inside this first collection, again, for a particular reason. So I'm looking forward to releasing more in the future. But these 3 kind of tell different stories that fit nicely together.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to get stuck into all of the stories today, but as you know, the show is wrapped around a masterclass in which we focus on one main fragrance and we go all the way through the dry down. So we experience our opening notes, our heart notes, and our base notes. We let it unfold in real time, which gives us a good hour or so to sort of unpack the fragrance. So tell me, which particular fragrance have you selected for our masterclass today?
I've selected Elixir.
Elixir.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to get stuck into Elixir. So Robin is going to actually spray Elixir out onto some blotters for us, but also to put it onto our skin.
Lovely.
So for those who might be new to the show, there's a really good reason why we do this. We put it onto our skin and onto the blotters. So the blotters are pretty neutral All three of us will be smelling exactly the same thing at exactly the same time when it's sprayed onto the blotter. However, when it's put onto our skin, we could see a little bit of variation in the way the fragrance actually smells. And there's a few reasons behind this. We won't go into all of those reasons right now, but just for example, our skin temperature is probably a little bit different. Our pH levels of our skin are a little bit different, and also the microbiome on our skin. And all of those factors can influence how the fragrance presents itself and when particular notes present themselves. So just by way of introduction, just while we're settling back into our seats here, why have we called this particular fragrance Elixir?
This particular fragrance is inspired by Armenian brandy, and it's a really huge symbol for us Armenians. People love to drink it for celebrations and different occasions, and it's kind of like that elixir of life, really. So that's where the name comes from.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
All right.
something a bit special.
So I'm going to experience the opening notes. We're about to have a smell, but just before we do, just to explain to possibly new viewers what we're smelling here in terms of opening notes. On your screen right now, we've got a perfume pyramid. At the very top of that pyramid, we have our opening notes or our top notes. Those two terms are interchangeable. What the opening notes or the top notes are fragrance molecules that are the lightest and the most volatile within the formulation. And all that means is those particular fragrance molecules are going to surface in the fragrance first, present themselves to our noses first, but they'll also dissipate the fastest, making way for the heart notes and then the base notes that you see in that perfume pyramid there.
This episode of Olfactive Melbourne is proudly brought to you by T&T Group. For Australian fragrance founders, the standard 10,000 piece packaging minimum has long been a wall between the design you envisioned and the design you could actually launch with. T&T Group designs and manufactures luxury packaging for the world's leading fragrance houses. And until the end of Season 2, Olfactive Melbourne listeners can access T&T directly, with the 10,000 piece minimum waived and 10% off unit pricing. Premium packaging at the scale Australian indie brands actually launch at. Visit tnt-group.com and mention Olfactive Melbourne when you reach out.
So, with that light explanation of opening notes / top notes, let's have a little smell and you can take us through the opening notes.
Absolutely.
Oh, lovely.
So the top notes of elixir are brandy and dried fruits. And the brandy really hits you in the nose.
Yeah, it really
quite
does.
strongly.
Yeah, it's quite boozy.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
very, very boozy.
Yeah, fantastic. And those dry fruits as well. I think
Yes.
that they sort of cradle that brandy note there quite well.
Absolutely.
So it's not just boozy, it's boozy and fruity.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
But I guess dried fruits as opposed to fresh fruits, quite a different smell.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
think that idea of fermentation, it helps lift the boozy brandy note, and also kind of like you say, envelops it so it's not so alcoholic that you go, oh,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Absolutely. No, it's
Yeah.
very, very nice, very pleasant. And I guess you explained to us that elixir and the whole brandy piece around Armenian brandy is really important to the culture, which explains why you've actually selected this particular fragrance. But
Yeah.
I guess what makes the Armenian brandy note a little bit different to maybe another sort of brandy that you might
Yeah.
experience in another fragrance?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the grapes. So the grapes are quite special. Where they come from is quite fertile ground. It's volcanic soil. And the actual grapes, the notes in them are exactly what this smells like. So you've got the dried fruits, you've got the vanilla, you've got the chocolate and the cocoa.
Wow.
And because they're also aged in these amazing wooden barrels, so they only use 70-year-old oaks and above to make the barrels, that kind of smell when it's aged is quite special and quite different.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine. So I guess the next question has to be, where did you start to create this brandy accord?
To be honest, the whole fragrance was born really out of smelling one ingredient. I smelt cocoa shell absolute, And this fragrance was just born in my head. I could see it, I could smell it. I don't know if you've ever smelt it in its kind of original raw material form, but it just reminded me of this brandy kind of experience so much that it was impossible to kind of not use it.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, it's exactly what I know Armenian brandy to smell like. And then it was just kind of fleshing it out and thinking about the kind of story that I wanted to tell and where I wanted to take it. But it was that particular raw ingredient. It's quite an amazing material.
Okay. So did you say cocoa shell?
Cocoa shell, absolute. So it's the shell of the cocoa that they use.
I don't think we've smelt that raw.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I
No.
highly recommend it.
Okay, well, we're definitely going to have to get our noses on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's where the that's what really inspired the
Yes.
creation of it.
Yes, absolutely.
So obviously, Armenian brandy has facets of cocoa in it. That sort of
Yeah.
is what makes it quite unique. Because I've got to say, in smelling
Mhm.
this particular brandy note, I've smelt brandy in a number of different fragrances. This doesn't really smell like the brandy that I've smelt in other fragrances before. It's quite distinct, and it's that chocolatey
It's
type
the
note.
chocolate. It's
Yes,
the
it's
chocolate.
the
It's the
chocolate.
cocoa. It's
Yeah.
it's the fruits and the vanilla as well.
Mm.
It's and one of the other reasons why I chose it today to speak about it, it's because it wears really nicely in the cold weather. It kind of, there's a velvety aspect to it, and I really love spraying it on kind of outerwear so that you're really cozy when you put it on, and you really feel cocooned. So it's that as well. That brandy, you drink it and it warms
Yes,
you
it
up.
warms you up.
You couldn't have chosen a better time, really, because I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're in Melbourne, being the Olfactive Melbourne podcast. It is, what is it, July? We're in the
Yeah.
depths of winter.
Mm.
It is very, very cold. In fact,
is very cold.
we were just putting the heater on in the studio before just to lift the temperature a little bit.
Yeah.
But fragrances can smell quite different in the cold versus in the heat. So you'd probably recommend that this fragrances were worn in slightly colder weather.
I mean, I think it's the kind of thing, if it's warmer weather, it would lend itself to like a nighttime fragrance
Yep.
if you're going out to dinner or kind of, in the evening.
Yeah.
But for me, it's an all-day fragrance when it's really cold, just purely from those aspects that it's quite warming.
Yeah.
And you do feel like it's almost going down like brandy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nestles and settles inside. And, it warms you up.
All right, so across those sort of colder months, so your autumn into winter, this is a all-day wear.
Yes. I'd
Quite
say so.
quite versatile, but in summer when it's quite hot,
Yeah.
a bit more of a date night
Yeah.
type of fragrance.
I would say so.
Evening, maybe. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the dried fruits,
Yes.
can you give us a little bit of an idea of which ones could we perhaps pick out?
I would say there's a little bit of apricot in there.
Okay.
Yeah. And plums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when I explain the perfume pyramid to viewers and to listeners, I explain it in sort of a bit of a linear manner, that
Yeah.
we get our opening notes and then they disappear, and then we get our heart notes and then they disappear, and then we get our base notes. But that's not quite the way it works. And I think what we're getting as we're starting to smell this fragrance, and I know the brandy has aspects of chocolate in it, but we probably have a bit of chocolate in our heart that's starting to come through already. Would that be accurate?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I guess the brandy, sorry, the chocolate aspects in the brandy almost serve like a bridging note through to the heart as well.
Yeah. I definitely wanted it to get sweeter and a bit mellower as the fragrance was moving along in its journey, because I really wanted to capture that moment. You drink the brandy, it hits you, those really strong notes, but then it's kind of like sinking into a nicely worn leather couch. It goes down really nicely, it warms you up, and you get really comfortable. And I think chocolate is one of those things that is a comforting smell. It's a comforting thing that we all like to eat.
Absolutely.
And
Some of us too much, but
no such thing. And the fact that it is one of those notes in Armenian brandy, especially, actually, I should mention there's one particular brandy brand which is called Ararat, which is what I've kind of based it around. And that particular grape that they use comes from an area called Davos, which is a province, and the Ararat Valley. And it's that particular type of grape in that Caucasian oak that gives you those notes. So it was important for me to include that.
Yeah, and to express
Yeah.
that in that accord.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know that in smelling the blotter versus my hand, the sweetness is definitely coming up more on my skin.
Mm, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So obviously, brandy is something that is quite important within Armenian culture.
Yes.
So is this, when we say that it's important, is it something that is shared at most meals or on special occasions? What's the
Yeah.
cultural significance of the brandy?
I mean, it was definitely not shared like during everyday meals when I was growing up, but it's such a core memory for me as a kid, just seeing this brandy bottle come out when you have guests over. It's a way to kind of honor a guest. Oh, it's so important to us that we want to share it with you. So anniversaries, birthdays, or New Year's, or yeah, just special people that have visited you. And another aspect of why all of those notes are inherent in this fragrance is because there was always chocolate on the table when the brandy was being served. There were always dried fruits on the table. So it's interesting how it all kind of works together without really even knowing. I mean, I don't think many people go and look at the notes in the brandy that they're drinking, but the fact that that's what they're serving it with is quite a lovely connection.
So we've only touched on a few of the notes. Obviously, we're only at the opening at the moment, but we've already said that we've got brandy in here, we've got dried fruits, and we've already mentioned chocolate.
Yes.
Would you consider this fragrance to be a gourmand?
I call it a grown-up chocolate, a grown-up gourmand, because it's not extremely sweet so that it's
Yeah.
going and going towards that really, really sweet gourmand, because it does have the wood that pulls it down and grounds it. But it's definitely in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gourmand without being sickly sweet or
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah.
Maybe if I can say it, a sophisticated gourmand.
Yeah, I would agree with
A
that.
grown-up gourmand.
Yeah.
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 And not, it's very unisex in my mind as
Yes.
well.
Yes, I have a lot of people commented that, men and women that, oh, yeah, I really like it. Which was the original idea from the beginning for all the fragrances to be for everyone.
Yeah,
In terms of,
absolutely.
there was no
Yeah.
for men or
Yeah.
women.
But
Yeah.
sometimes I think, in my head, I think, oh, if it's sweet, gourmandy, potentially it's going to be a little bit more feminine leaning,
Yeah.
but it's definitely not. I wouldn't say that's.
I think
the
that opening boozy note also lends itself to be quite masculine
Yeah,
at the beginning.
absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, you hear boozy and you think male,
Male,
and then
yeah.
you hear gourmand, you think female, but
Yeah.
actually it's so squarely in between that it is very versatile. It can be worn by men or women. It can actually be worn year round, and as you
Yeah.
said, in cold weather, it can actually be worn all day as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, quite a unique fragrance in that regard. So,
Thank
no
you.
wonder you've selected this as your masterclass fragrance.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
So we're at the point of the story where we might be swirling and sniffing the brandy. Is that where we would be in the story?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, in my head, it's you're sitting somewhere really comfortable with people you really, really like, and the conversation's flowing. And another aspect of it I really appreciate is that you savor it. It's not something that you drink fast. And that was another aspect that I wanted to capture. It kind of takes its time to get going and settle. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess where I'm at in this journey is I'm sitting down at an Armenian dinner table, and I've got the brandy there, and I've got the dry fruits, and I've got the chocolate, and I've got the food, and I've been welcomed into the house.
Yeah.
As you described, it's important to really honor your guests
Yeah.
with the brandy, and so we're getting all of those sensations all blending together and hitting our nose. That's sort of where
Absolutely.
I'm at in the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that warmth of the occasion as well as the scent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So obviously this fragrance has got some way to go before we've dried down and gone into the heart note. We've touched on one of the notes from the heart, but then we've also got the base. It's going to evolve over time. So we've got a bit of time now to let the fragrance settle a little bit further, let those opening notes start to dissipate a little bit and make way for those heart notes. So while we're waiting for that to happen, we'd like to get to know you a little bit better, Alina.
Great.
So take us back.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess, have you always been a perfumer and into perfume, or what's been the story?
No. It's an interesting one because obviously I've always loved perfume and worn it, but it's just been one of those things where it's an accessory. You don't really. I've never been like a fragrance lover or I'm a collector. Or it's quite a passion that's come to me later in life. I'd say maybe around 3.5 years ago. Um, I just fell down into this rabbit hole of listening to people talk about fragrance. Um, and I really appreciated the language
Hmm.
used. I really loved the way that people were explaining the notes and the feeling and the texture and the color. And um, I could smell it and see it in my head. And I thought, oh, this is so wonderful the way that language can make something that essentially doesn't really exist after you spray it,
Yeah.
become so tangible through a screen where I can really feel it. And I thought, oh, I'd love to tell my own stories. But of course, it's just something that you kind of go, oh, wouldn't it be nice? Um, but around, well, it was April 2024 that I thought I really want to give it a go and just see where I can be and where I can take it without really having an idea of what it could look like. Um, a lovely lady by the name of Jocelyn Fullerton was recommended to me. I got in contact with her, said, I'm really interested in having a brand, but I don't know anything other than just I like to tell stories. I would like to tell stories with fragrance. She said, excellent, come see me. Um, so yeah, I kind of showed up without really an agenda. But the thing that I knew for sure is that I wasn't going to be making perfumes because that wasn't even within the realm of possibility. It's science, it's chemistry. I'm so far away from that. So I started studying with her because I really wanted that authenticity of just knowing about the world, knowing about the materials, and really gaining the language so that I could speak to a perfumer in their language when I was creating scents for this brand that I might eventually have. But about halfway through, turned out that I possessed a nose.
Fantastic.
And with Jocelyn's amazing encouragement, which was really terrifying because I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to take me, I don't know how many years to come up with something that I would feel comfortable sharing with people. But I was very, very lucky
Oh. Mm.
that it happened quite quickly. But yeah, lots of experimentation, lots of learning, lots of support from Jocelyn. She's wonderful. And I'll always be grateful for her for just opening up that part of this world to me because I would never have gone down the road of becoming a perfumer if she didn't say, hey, you can do this yourself.
I love to hear stories about how the industry supports
Yeah.
each other.
Mm.
And we have heard some great stories, haven't we?
Absolutely,
While
we
we've
have.
been doing the podcast,
Yeah.
similar, where you get a mentor as such, as
So
somebody
important.
who,
It's so important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's a pretty common story
Mm.
within at least the Australian perfume scene
Yeah.
that you become a self-taught perfumer
Yeah.
and start your brand rather than going
Yeah.
through that traditional,
Yeah.
go to France and enroll in
Mm.
perfumery school and complete, I don't know how many years it takes
Yeah,
to do
of
that.
course.
But I guess not everybody ends up getting into perfumery and becoming a perfumer. We certainly know quite a lot of perfume founders who don't take that extra step to
Yeah.
actually learn perfumery.
Mhm.
And what we've found is there's a bit of a common denominator with people who actually take the step to learn perfumery, and it's quite often that sort of creative background.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you said earlier was that you were a bit enamored by the romanticism of the language that was
Yeah.
being used, and that tells
Absolutely.
me that you possibly got a bit of a creative background. Is that
I
something
do.
that's happened in your
Yeah,
past?
yeah, absolutely. I started off in fashion design first and then turned to graphic design and art direction. But also I sang for quite a long time. I was trained classically. So all of those worlds are kind of similar in a sense because you are again storytelling and you're connecting to an audience through emotion. Um, yeah, it's kind of a new way of doing that, just in a different format.
Yeah, so no wonder you picked up on it fairly quickly because I guess particularly with music, so there's a good reason why we refer to the notes in a fragrance as notes,
Yes.
same as notes in a song, but an individual note does not make a song. So you've got to
course.
pull together a whole bunch of different notes so that you can
Yes.
actually turn it into an actual sometimes into an accord or into a chord, I should say.
Yes.
Not an accord, a chord, and then eventually into a song. So I guess if you can make that association between how individual notes in music come together to
Absolutely.
form a song, you can
Absolutely.
probably translate that
Yes.
into perfumery.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's everything that I've done has been obviously very, very helpful in doing this. There's so many aspects that can come into it, but with music, it's really interesting how besides the fact that it's the notes and the chords that come together, it's also the feeling and the tone of things and the balance and the way that you feel something. I think people who are musical are much more sensitive, and I think you do need sensitivity to be a perfumer, or at least to dig a bit deeper into perfumes, because it is quite an emotional journey, and you have to take the time to really notice things rather than just spray it and go and then.
Yes, I've heard it referred to as like the orchestration part. So the orchestra and all the notes coming in and
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
and the different instruments, I guess, having their turn. It could be like the notes
absolutely.
coming through at different times.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think there's also maybe a really nice connection of all of the ingredients kind of being laid out in what's called an organ,
Yep,
a
absolutely.
perfumer's organ. So I think it's quite intertwined.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think that
Mhm.
there's a lot of connection between I mean, we do know that it is science, right? And you've referenced it yourself that it's
Yes.
chemistry.
Yes.
But it can't be that cut and dry, and you actually do need to bring that creative spirit to the chemistry in order to bring something to life. And I think that obviously the background with perfume, but also fashion and graphic design. We're talking about
Yeah.
careers, I guess, that take an idea that haven't manifested into anything, that is just an idea, and you
Yeah.
turn it into something. You
Mhm.
bring that vision to life.
Yeah.
Very similar when it comes to building a perfume. You've got the
Definitely.
end in mind there,
Definitely.
but you've got to construct it from nothing.
Gotta
So
get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the imagination, it's the world building, I suppose, because yeah, you're coming up with something out of thin air.
absolutely.
um, but yeah, I actually read a really interesting phrase the other day, which I think probably explains it really well. It's a French phrase, internal library, which I thought was really beautiful. Anything that you've ever all the books that you've read about different things you collect and you put into that internal library. And I feel like, yeah, all of those things that I've ever done or been interested in, definitely kind of picking out from inside to put into that. So it's definitely, it's building an arsenal to use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so important when you're building your brand around,
Mm.
expressing your culture.
Yes.
So I guess you've got all of those sort of core memories there that you're wanting
Yeah.
to also insert into the fragrance as well. So
Yeah.
I guess there's a fair bit of distance now
Mhm.
between Armenia and where you live in Sydney.
Yes.
When you're actually starting to formulate, fragrances that are based on Armenian culture, is that does that make it a bit of a challenge, or?
No, I wouldn't say it's a challenge because I'm quite deeply connected to my roots. I visit, I speak the language, I've got family over there, and it's not something that I need to tap into because it's ever present in my day to day. But of course, pulling out stories to tell and doing it in a way that is going to appeal not only to Armenians but to everyone um, is is a balance. It's a nuance because I don't want it to be kind of like I'm hitting someone over the head with this is my culture. Or,
Yeah.
I want it to be a celebration that I'm sharing a part of myself and doing it in a way that feels like me, but also is respectful because it's a big thing to kind of tie your work
Yeah.
to a place and a people.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you go about
Mhm.
creating that balance.
Um, I think the story needs to be holistic. I have to be able to speak about it and really tell the story
Mm.
in scent as well as in words. So with Elixir, it was, I mean, the connection was so immediate with that particular raw ingredient that it was like, oh, yes, absolutely, that's a story I really need to tell.
Mm.
But then with the others, it was um, smelling something and then going, that reminds me of something that is also mine, and I would like to talk about it in a different way. So it varies. It
Mm.
varies. But I need to be able to see the whole story. Otherwise, you don't want to just pick little bits of it. I don't think I would be doing it justice.
And so do your family and your friends and, sort of those extended people that you know within Armenian culture, do you sort of bounce those ideas off them first to say, hey, I'm thinking about sort of representing this? What do you think? Or
I do talk to my family a lot. We're quite close, and I do take their opinion and advice quite strongly. But I don't think I've really done anything yet that someone's been like, no, don't go there, don't do that. Actually, the naming of the brand is a funny story. I don't know if I should tell it, but maybe I should.
Let's do it. Yes, please.
I
do.
had my heart set on a name of an ancient Armenian king because I really loved the way it sounded. And I thought, ancient culture, history, and the king's name is Menua. And when I, did the logo and was starting to kind of get opinions and sharing it with people and, oh, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing, a lot of people came back and said, oh, I would pronounce it manure. Please don't do that. So
good choice
Okay.
there.
yeah, I mean, that's funny, and I hadn't really made that connection because in
Why
my
would
head
you?
it's manure, but yeah, so it's very important to kind of
Yeah,
bounce
Run things past others.
bounce
Yes.
bounce ideas and things with different
Yeah.
people for sure.
Yeah. And what is your creative, like, do you, because we've had people on the show who see colors, that we've had people who see little movies in their
Yeah.
heads. Do you have, does it come for you, that creative
Yeah.
process?
I definitely see pictures and
Yeah.
I feel textures, sometimes colors as well. But I also hear not just notes or sounds. I kind of associate fragrances with songs.
Okay.
Again, that
Yeah.
musical thing really comes
Mm.
through. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit of a common trait that we do see.
Yeah.
Like it expresses itself differently with
Yeah.
everybody. So we've had, as Robin mentioned, some people associate notes with entire movies in their head.
Yeah.
Some with colours.
Yes.
And so I think that's a synesthesia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably butchering that as well. But it's probably just part of that creative. It's probably why you ended up in creative arts anyway, being in fashion, in graphic
I think
design,
so.
and
Yeah, I think makes
music
sense.
as
Just
well.
wired
Yeah.
a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it is actually, it's a pretty significant step to go, okay, well, I like making fragrances. I've found that I've got a bit of a nose, that I've got an aptitude to going, I'm going to launch an entire perfume brand and send it out to the world. So
Yeah.
at what point did you say, yep, I'm confident, this is what I want to do. I want to take it to the world.
I think there's probably something to be said about not really knowing, the big risk and step you're taking and jumping into something. Otherwise, maybe not as many people would because you just don't know what you're getting yourself into, which is a good thing. But I guess right from the beginning, I knew I wanted to have a brand. And that was always the end goal for me. And I was like, yep, I really want to do it. I want to tell my stories. I want to work with people to bring that to life. So that was always the goal. The fact that, me becoming a perfumer and doing my own formulations came into it probably in my head was like, oh no, it's going to delay all of that. But I was very lucky because through experimentation and through learning and actually also having the freedom, because in the beginning, when it wasn't something that was my end goal to become a perfumer, that fear of failure and that pressure was completely taken away to where I could experiment, come up with different things, really play. And I use that word, really play for the sake of playing, because it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. I'm just learning about the materials. It really, really opened up a lot of possibilities and a lot of unlocked a lot of creative things that probably wouldn't have happened if I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn to become a perfumer and it has to happen. I have to produce something. So I decided let's do it. It's working. I'm coming up with things that I do want to share with people. And actually, last year, the reason why I did a soft launch, I'm part of the Armenian Film Festival in Sydney. We actually do come to Melbourne as well. And I had this brilliant idea, middle of the night. Wouldn't it be cool if I could do a soft launch at the film festival? I should look into it and ask. And it was probably around 3.5 months out. Uh, so I did. I asked the directors. They very kindly said yes. And at this point, I didn't really have a brand. I didn't have a name. My formulas weren't finished. I didn't have branding.
Wow.
I didn't have packaging. But there's nothing like a real world deadline to really
Get you
give
moving.
yourself a kick to make it happen. So yeah, I ended up doing it in 3.5 months to have it ready for opening night. And
Wow, that's impressive. Yep.
yeah,
And what was the reception like?
really good. I mean, there was no prior kind of advertising that this is coming, this is happening. I was just there with the perfumes, and it was really organic, where people were kind of seeing and coming, like, oh, what's this? Let's see what's happening here. And the fact that it was kind of amongst culture lovers, people were there to see a foreign film, Armenians and non-Armenians. It was lovely to get real-time feedback
Yeah.
and see people's reactions to something that,
Must have helped,
I
like, know that you knew from that and the response
Yeah.
from those people that this is perfect, this is right,
Oh,
I can go.
absolutely. It
ahead.
was such a lovely way to kind of jump into it, because it was a soft launch. Not that I was going to kind of step back and go, oh, but it was just a really lovely easing of, I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
I'm doing something that
Validating
people
for
like.
you.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
word.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
helps. Yeah, it helps provide a bit of confidence as you then
Oh,
launch.
Oh, absolutely. Just that, little sniff and, oh, that's worth everything. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, before we transition into our heart notes,
Mhm.
one question that we probably haven't asked a lot of guests, but I think that people who may be listening and may be interested in launching their own brand, it always sounds like sunshine and rainbows, right? That I had an idea, and then next thing you know, I've launched a brand
Yeah.
and happy days.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you
Oh.
actually faced in launching the brand?
Gosh, I'd say everything was a challenge, because everything was so new. You're jumping into a world that you don't know that much about, from obviously formulation and production. And oh no, this particular ingredient is discontinued, or you can't get it, or it's really delayed. So you're either waiting or you're trying to find a substitute. And then after you've done the formula and you're happy, and then you go and do all of your, IFRA calculations to see if you're above, under legal limits for certain ingredients, you're over, so you have to reformulate. That pushes everything back. Packaging, my bottles were stuck on a ship for extra 7 weeks that you're not accounting for. So a lot of different things. Yeah, it's definitely not sunshine and
Sunshine
rainbows.
and rainbows for sure.
Although, you have to find the sunshine and rainbows. Otherwise, it's too hard if you're not doing it for that reason and you really love it. But like I said, don't overthink it, because I think if I had overthought it and I knew it was going to be difficult, or, I was going to face this challenge, that challenge, I probably wouldn't have been brave enough to jump in. But they're here, and I did it. And if I did it, you should try.
You should
and
give
do
it a crack. Yeah,
you should definitely give it a crack.
absolutely. If you're inspired to do it, absolutely. Don't let those barriers hold you back.
Yeah.
It's always good to sort of understand, because I think a lot of people wouldn't be aware of
Yeah.
just how technical you have to be here if
Oh,
you want to be
yes.
compliant, particularly with
Yes,
IFRA.
yes. Yep.
And that you might be fully compliant, and then IFRA changes the rules on you, and so
Which they do.
Yes,
They do.
Very often.
and then you have to reformulate again, which is
Yeah.
something that every fragrance on Earth experiences. Why
Yeah.
we do see reformulations that occur.
Yes.
There can be barriers to entry, like the minimum number of packages that you need to
yeah,
purchase,
for
or
sure.
minimum number of bottles, where that
For
can be quite challenging to overcome.
Yep.
Things get stuck on ships, they get
Yes.
caught in customs. You're making promises as to what the launch date is, and you're
Yeah.
having to go and push that launch date out. So
Yeah.
it can be a bit challenging, but I love the attitude of So don't overthink it. Just
Yeah.
jump in, because you can
Yeah.
deal with each one of those little issues as they arise,
Yes.
rather than thinking about Everest and
Yeah.
trying to summit Everest
Yeah.
from the get go. It's a
Mm.
lot to go from zero to hero, but not so bad if you're just dealing with it at each base camp as you
Yes.
go.
And just remember, you're not unique to facing those challenges. I think every single person that starts any kind of business, not just perfumery, comes across things that they have to hurdles they have to jump through. But
Mm.
if you don't, I think that, looking back and going, oh, I should have, why
Yeah.
didn't I do it, is more painful than jumping through a few hurdles and then, finding ways, because everything is solvable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the Australian perfume industry who are very, very generous with their knowledge and their time
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
We've had many of those people on our show who have tutored other people through these challenges. And so, yeah, if you're wondering, just connect in with the local community. There'll be someone out there who can say, yep, I faced that before. This is how I overcame it, and maybe save you from some of that pain that you might potentially go through otherwise.
Mm.
Definitely ask
Good.
questions. Better to be, sure, then go and find out.
Exactly. Why suffer when you don't
have
need to?
Yes, agreed.
Fantastic. Well, I think we've probably gotten through the first part of our dry down here. How about we transition to our heart notes?
Yep, sure. So if we just take a moment to go back to our perfume pyramid and we look at the center of the perfume pyramid, this is really the heart or the core of the fragrance. And this is when those top notes have started to dissipate and the heart really comes into its own. So the heart is really known as the personality or the character of the fragrance. And it helps the fragrance to transition from those top notes to the denser, deeper base notes. And so they're normally things like aromatics, aromatic herbs, some spices, or it could be florals that make up some of the heart notes in a fragrance. And they tend to linger and last on the skin so that we really can experience that essence of the heart. This edition of Olfactive Melbourne is proudly sponsored by Silver Australia. Silver Australia design and shape their jewellery in their studio in Melbourne, and they're pleased to offer Olfactive Melbourne customers 20% off when you use the code MASA20. So with that being said, can you take us through our heart notes?
So the heart notes are vanilla, chocolate, and cocoa.
Yeah, that chocolate that we smelt during the opening is really prominent
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
And you did mention early in the program that it was actually that, was it the cocoa husk or the cocoa
shell.
cocoa shell that
Yeah.
inspired this? Because you made the association between that cocoa note and the brandy. So it makes 100% sense why this is sitting here in the heart. This is the heart of the actual fragrance, is that
It is
chocolate.
definitely the heart.
And it is
Yes.
delicious,
Yes,
I've got to
it's
say.
very lovely.
It's a dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It's kind of that gritty, dark, beautiful chocolate.
Yeah, rather than that uber sweet. So that's you've managed to keep it as that really mature, sophisticated gourmand by not having it just because I think you mentioned that there's vanilla in this fragrance as well.
There is.
When you throw in vanilla and you're talking about gourmand, immediately people's minds might go to, oh God, that's going to be sweet.
Super sweet.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So it is just, it's more of a dry, sophisticated gourmand. Yeah.
Dry is a good word, actually. Yeah.
Lovely. Love that dark chocolate. So we've got vanilla, which is, it's surprising that with vanilla in the heart here that it doesn't have that punch you in the face sweetness. Is that the volume of the vanilla or the type of vanilla that you've used here? How have you dialed it down, I guess?
So there is quite, well, not quite a bit, but there is vanilla oleoresin, which actually is true vanilla, and it's not very, very kind of that vanilla essence-y smell when you say vanilla. It's what people associate with it. What they're thinking of is vanillin, which is also in there, but at a smaller dosage. So it's that beautiful, rich, dark vanilla pod, I suppose, if you visualize it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what does that bring to the heart?
I really wanted that visual of the melting of
so that sensation, like that we know, like the sensation of alcohol go? Sort of when you
Yeah.
swallow it.
Yes, you swallow it and it kind of just starts to warm the body up. And vanilla is a really comforting, along with the chocolate, it's a really comforting smell.
Yeah.
And one thing that I didn't know, which I learned along with other many, many things that I've learned, is that vanillin is actually in mother's breast milk.
Oh,
That's why
Okay.
most people really like it, because it's kind of wired into us from birth, that it's something that's really soothing and comforting.
That
So,
makes sense. That's what
Did
makes
you
it
mean-
cozy. I didn't
Yeah.
know
I
that.
had no idea of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating piece of trivia. Yeah.
So
Wow.
Absolutely.
that vanilla really kind of takes that really boozy, hit you in the face to, okay, let's have a moment. Let's have a sit.
So what I would say about where the fragrance has gone so far is that boozy opening, so that brandy, it hasn't disappeared. It's just taken a bit more of a backseat. So, and it is important to sort of point out that when we say that the notes start to dissipate, we're simply saying that they're just not so prominent anymore, and that
Yes.
the heart is actually taking center stage now. So it's still there.
Yeah.
You're not losing that boozy note. So if that's something that you really love, you love a boozy fragrance,
Yes.
it's not disappearing just because it's in the heart there. This is a boozy fragrance, just
is
with
a
a
boozy
heart
fragrance.
with a heart of chocolate. And I love the chocolatey note. So you've got two types of, you've got that dark chocolate and you've got
Yep.
the cacao in
Yes.
there as well,
Yes.
which has got that, I guess, that dusty, dry sort
Yeah.
of
Absolutely.
chocolatey note.
Yeah.
It's the velvet.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was also important because it's kind of that tactile thing I mentioned before that, in different smells I associate with texture.
Yeah.
So the cocoa, like you say, the powderiness of it was very much velvet in my head. And I really liked that idea of something a bit more plush.
Did you
something
have a color?
comforting.
There was the velvet colored?
It's kind of like a caramelly brown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe even the color of the brandy.
The brandy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
If
Yeah.
it was velvet.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's not a darker brown. In my head, it's more of a
Yeah.
caramelly brown.
So I was sort of imagining like a plummy kind of color.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Before you mentioned that.
So I've got to say, this is really where the blotter and the skin start to
Very
The
different.
verge.
diverge. So
Yeah.
I'm still getting quite the strong boozy note off the blotter.
That's
Yep.
true. Yep.
I'm not getting so much of. I get a bit of the chocolate because you get the chocolate from the get go because it's a prominent note, but it is very much brandy forward on the blotter.
Yep.
It is extremely chocolate forward on my skin. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Did you ever have a smell of my
It
skin?
smells so good on him. I
It
have to
really
say.
is. I love
That's
this.
great.
I love this.
Yeah. It's sweeter, and it's almost like the fruity and the chocolate. You get both. Whereas I feel like I've got more of the drier.
The drier.
I do as
version.
well. I'm starting to get the sandalwood, the woodiness
Coming through from the bass notes.
Yep.
'Cause
Yeah.
yours
for
is
sure.
almost like when I just smelled that. It's almost like it's got a stickiness to it.
Absolutely. I actually just heard my stomach rumble a little bit because
We're
it is
talking about
chocolate
all
and
the
it's
good
just
stuff.
so delicious. My stomach's just going, oh. But yeah, it probably appears a little bit sweeter on my skin while not being sweet. Yours is a lot sort of drier on your skin, but I love the fact that it's not sticky. It's not sticky sweet. Yeah, absolutely. Again, really sophisticated fragrance. I would imagine. So in terms of occasion, this definitely feels like date night.
Yeah.
This feels like night out on the town, dressed up to the hilt type of fragrance. Is that sort of what you had in mind with the fragrance?
I think if you're kind of doing that date night, for sure. But for me, my association is more kind of really cold, brisk weather
Yeah.
with a really big scarf around me with, it sprays and I'm kind of nestled in it and going somewhere and it's giving me that,
Yeah. Okay.
cozy.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter
that
what's going
cozy
on
in
out
front of
there.
the fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Snowing outside,
Absolutely.
and I've got my nice
Yeah.
glass of.
That's
brandy.
my association with it. But I have heard a lot of people say, yeah, this is a nighttime. Let's get dressed up and go out.
It's
So-
got that like elegant. We're going to go and sit in a dark,
Like a
dark
nice bar.
wine bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice lighting. all of that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think this is it's a bit of a sexy fragrance, I think.
Thank you.
And
I'll
that's
take it.
yeah, I guess that's why I'm associating it
date night.
with
Yeah.
date night, right? Because
Yeah.
I want to make myself delicious, right? Because
Yeah, of
I
course.
want somebody to come in close when
Mhm.
I'm on a date night, and if I
Yeah.
smell chocolatey and delicious, yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah,
why
for
I
sure.
make that association.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but again, really sophisticated, so not that sort of sticky sweet. So absolutely beautiful. So we've got vanilla, we've got dark chocolate, we've got cocoa, a bit more of a drier note here, and we've got our boozy notes sort of stepping into the background. So from here, the fragrance is going to evolve even more. Now, you've
Yeah.
already alluded to the fact that we've got some woody notes that are going to start to come through from the base.
Yes.
And so we've got a bit of time to actually go through the dry down now.
Mhm.
So we'll put the fragrance aside just for a little while we let it dry down a little bit further.
Great.
And let's take the opportunity to explore some of the broader range
Oh,
from
great.
ARAKYÁL. Now, again, I keep butchering the name.
You're not that far away
You know,
from it. It's all good.
I guess you know what it is, Alina, because we've been following you pretty much from the get-go
Thank
on
you. Yeah.
social media. And so when we've been talking about the brand, it's been
Mhm.
ARAKYÁL, ARAKYÁL,
Mhm.
ARAKYÁL. So it's going to take
Yes.
us a little bit of time to switch ourselves into Armenian
Yeah.
and give it the good old try, but at least we're getting most of it right. So
No, you definitely are.
fantastic. Now, we've got another two fragrances, and that's just where we're at in our very early journey with the brand at the moment. And you've
Yeah.
already mentioned that you're going to be introducing new fragrances
Yeah.
down the track. But
Definitely.
of the two that we've got here, the additional two that we've got here today,
Mhm.
which one do you think that we should start with?
Ooh. Maybe let's go Color of Nord because it's quite different to Elixir. So it might be nice to smell something completely different.
Fantastic. So, color of Nort.
Yes.
So, what's the spelling on Nort?
So it's N-U-R. Well,
N-U-R.
the Latin way that I've spelt it, and it's actually the Armenian word for pomegranate.
Pomegranate.
Thank you.
So the color of pomegranate.
Yes.
Oh.
Now, Robin's just putting this onto the blotter. Now, what I want to show you, our blotters are quite bright white here. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this on the screen here, but take a look at the color of the juice that is coming out onto the blotter here. So this is the color of a pomegranate here. Wow.
Yes.
It is quite a dark juice.
It is.
Wow, and quite a different
Yes.
Very different.
fragrance than what we're smelling here at the moment. So
Very different.
Love the top notes.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
absolutely. So what
strain.
are our top notes here? I'm getting quite a few notes coming through here.
Yes, so the top notes are green notes, so green grass and green flowers, bergamot, and some white flowers as well.
All right. So we've got some flowers, we've got some grassy notes, and we've got some citrus in here in the opening as well. All right. So when you talk about florals, obviously florals are, it's quite a broad term.
Yes.
Are there specific, I think you've mentioned white florals. Are there specific white florals there that you think we should point to, or just
No,
a general sense of white florals?
It's more of a sense.
Yeah.
It's more of a sense. I think of this as quite a fresh fragrance, a bit of a freshie.
Definitely.
So white for me is definitely that fresh, zingy,
Yeah.
the bergamot that kind of gives you that feeling of get up and go.
Yeah.
And with the green notes, again, it's that freshness, but also through those green notes, I've tried to really explore that the seed, so that earthy part of the pomegranate, and also the fleshy kind of cover of it. So I didn't want this to be a sweet fragrance where I was just concentrating on the juiciness and the rubbiness of the pomegranate. I really wanted it to be kind of an all-encompassing thing. Yeah.
I would say, to me, I haven't smelt anything quite like this. It's quite unique.
It's very unique. It's quite green to my nose, which is beautiful.
I
But
like
it's
that,
what makes it
yes.
so fresh. It is.
Mm.
It's like almost the polar opposite of Elixir, whereas that
it
is, you're right, it's perfect for the winter.
Yeah.
It's perfect for that cold. It does make you feel cozy
Yes.
and warm. This one is, beautiful spring morning,
very
beautiful
much.
summer's day.
Or as you said, just uplifting to
Yeah,
get you
I find
going.
it very uplifting.
Yeah.
It's my go-to in the morning when have to leave the house. It's kind of a kick. Come on,
Yeah.
get
Up
going.
you get.
Absolutely.
So
So-
tell us about this pomegranate and why it's the inspiration for this fragrance.
So this particular fragrance was actually designed for the film festival. So when I was doing the soft launch, I did have Meron and Elixir already in the works, which are quite Armenian. And because it's the Armenian Film Festival, I wanted it to also be something Armenian, but also something to do with film. So while pomegranate is, again, another really big symbol culturally for Armenians, it represents rebirth, it represents new beginnings, art. Um, there is a film from 1969 called The Color of Pomegranates by Soviet Armenian director Sergei Parajanov. And it's one of those films that all the film students, so it's kind of like a must watch, because it's incredible. It is visual poetry. It's quite an abstract film exploring the life of Sayat Nova, who was a musician, folk kind of a personality. If you can find it, watch it. It's so inspiring. Every single frame is a work of art.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was my homage to him, and storytelling and film and cinema and visual poetry, visual way of telling stories, and kind of fit it really perfectly. Because pomegranate, the color, pomegranate, the film, pomegranate, the symbolism. So it fitted in really nicely.
It's very ancient fruit, the old
Yes.
the pomegranate, and I'm not surprised that it is so important to your culture.
Yes.
I guess with your fragrances, when you say that it's inspired, so this so Elixir is inspired by the chocolate.
Yeah.
That's the heart. I'm assuming here that the heart of this particular fragrance is the pomegranate, so it'll appear in the heart once we get to that point in the dry down.
Absolutely.
So can you infuse a pomegranate note, or is that an accord?
No, it's very much an accord. And while I was exploring this, it could have been that particular pomegranate that I was looking at as inspiration, but to me, a pomegranate doesn't really have a particular kind of a smell. It's more of an artist's impression when people try to do a pomegranate, because when you open it up, it doesn't hit you like an apple hits you or a pear hits you and you go, oh, that's an apple or a pear. It's kind of more of an ambiguous smell. So while a lot of pomegranate scents do kind of skew towards the sweeter side of the fleshiness and the juice of it, I really wanted to explore it as the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a fascinating fruit, in terms of what it looks like, that you
Yes.
can't help but have the visual of it. But as when you think of the juice, then you're thinking about the molasses or whatever that we
Yes.
might
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
Is the pomegranate not the fruit that tempted Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden?
I believe it's the apple.
Oh, it was the apple. No,
Yeah.
it was the apple. You're right. It's been too long since I've done my religious education. There you go.
But there's a lot of myths associated with pomegranates in different cultures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen it in like those Waterhouse paintings and
Yeah.
it
does
with
have
the
a lot of
Greek
Yes,
goddesses,
absolutely.
Persephone
Yes.
and all of those sorts of things with pomegranate.
lots of religious iconography, I guess, when it comes to the pomegranate. So now there is a note that's coming through for me, even on the blotter. Now we're not putting it on the skin today because we'll run out of skin. But am I smelling rose coming
Yes.
through?
That's where the color comes from.
Okay. So that's why
Yes.
we've got the depth of the color sitting on the blotter here.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's not the most dominant of the notes. It's certainly
Yeah.
it's a green
It's a
fragrance.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I just noticed a bit of rose coming through. So what particular rose was used in
It's a rose ultimate. So it's a very dark, viscous, sticky raw material, and so it's quite hard to open it up, but it does give it that incredible color, and it's definitely part of the accord that builds that pomegranate. It does have that deeper kind of feeling to it, where it's quite fresh and green and zingy at the top, and then it starts to get a bit deeper and darker, and then you get those rosy pomegranate juicy bits coming out.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's definitely a play. I don't know what's going on with your nose, but for in my nose, it's that play between those sort of the fruity, citrusy notes and the
Yep.
florals are providing that nice balance. It's keeping it green,
Yeah.
and yeah, sort of indicating that we're getting towards that pomegranate. What about for you, Rob?
Yeah, for me, it's very, it's fresh and everything, but it's got that elegance that I really love. It's quite hard sometimes to find a green fragrance that has the right amount of sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really loving this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mm.
I would say that this is the green fragrance that I've always wanted to find. You know, like
Amazing.
I've tried to find really nice green fragrances before, and there's a few really, really nice ones out there, but there's always been something that's not quite there for me. And this sort of, it's got it all. It's
Oh.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now,
Great.
Gorgeous.
we don't have an hour to go all the way through the dry down of
Yeah.
this particular fragrance, but if we were to go all the way through the dry down here,
Yeah.
what would we start to encounter as we transition from, say, the heart through to the base?
Yeah. So you definitely, as you mentioned, you have the sticky red rose coming through, which kind of makes up that pomegranate. You do have raspberries that are also
I
in
like
that accord that give it that color and the juice.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does dry down to white musk.
Oh.
Yeah, with a
Okay.
little bit of sugar. It does, a sweetness does come through at the end.
Yeah.
Once those really fresh kind of green notes do go. So you're left with a sweet musk.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you probably do have to have a bit of sweetness in a fragrance like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the pomegranate, especially if you're juicing it and you're drinking it, it is sweet.
Yeah.
So I definitely needed to include that.
I also feel like I get a small amount of like effervescence, a little something fizzy.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the bergamot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really lovely,
Mm.
really fresh. And again, have you been quite deliberate in creating unisex fragrances
Yes.
here? So
Yes.
it's been a bit of a purpose.
Yeah.
Because, everything I've spelt so far is definitely right for male and female, just
Yeah.
perfectly equally. Like,
Yeah.
it's rather than leaning in one direction or another, I would wear this. I could smell Rob wearing this
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
heartbeat as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you would love wearing this.
Yeah, I would.
So
Yeah.
It was intentional because the stories that I'm trying to tell are not necessarily, for women or for men. It's a cultural experience. It's a place. It's a people. So I really wanted to strike that balance, right, that everyone could enjoy them. I didn't kind of push anyone away.
yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
definitely very welcoming the fragrance here. So
Thank you.
this is your, I guess, I'm also sensing that you could wear this really all year round as well, much like Elixir.
Yeah.
But if we were to say more towards that summery,
I would
spring
say so. I would say so.
side of
I think
things.
it lends itself to some sunshine and
a little bit of heat.
a little bit of heat.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're in the depth of winter like we are now, and you wanted to remind yourself that summer's going to come back at some point,
around the corner.
absolutely, you could
Yeah.
spray this on
You
and
could wear this.
it sort of
Yeah.
takes you back a little bit.
Yeah,
So it's just
for
a
sure.
beautiful, fresh, lovely fragrance. It's got, again, quite a lot of meaning culturally with
Yes.
the presence of the pomegranate and obviously the relationship with the artist. Sorry, who was the artist again that you mentioned
He was
for the
called
film?
Sergei Parajanov.
Okay, we'll have
Yeah.
to look him up because we do like
Oh,
a bit
please
of
do.
international film
Yeah.
films, don't we?
We
So,
do.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so we do have another fragrance left in the range.
Mhm.
So what are we about to experience here?
So this one is called Meron, and
Okay,
it
Meron.
was inspired by the anointing oil that the Armenian Apostolic Church makes every 7 years. Thank you. And it is a collection of 48 spices, flowers, herbs, which they cook in olive oil and rose water for 3 days and 3 nights. So it's quite a special elixir, which then that gets sent out around the world to all the Armenian churches to be used in different celebrations and rites and things. And this was my kind of homage to it. I was out and about, I can't even remember when now. but I did happen to smell Trudon's Mortel, which is quite a strong frankincense fragrance. And that frankincense, again, it's a very important spice for Armenians, or resin, or however you want to call it. We do actually burn it when we go to visit loved ones who have passed away. So it does have a few different connotations culturally. And it's believed that as the smoke rises and the prayers that you send kind of go up to heaven. So it's a beautiful image that I always kind of have in my head. And I thought frankincense is such a huge part of me and my culture. I really want to explore that story, but do it in a way that reflects me. So while frankincense is definitely at the heart of it, it is enveloped by some of those 48 different flowers and herbs and spices that are found in the anointing oil.
Definitely smells complex to me.
As soon as I sprayed it, I had a memory come
Oh,
back to me.
amazing.
So where I went to school, we used to attend church
Mm.
every week. It was a convent that we went to, that I went to, and when the altar boys walk through and they've got the smoke,
Yeah.
obviously it's just taken me straight
Yeah.
back to that memory.
Yeah.
And I find it extremely comforting. It's just a very,
Thank you.
just a wolf over me.
Yeah, so it's got
Very
got
warm as
a little
well.
bit of the churchiness
Yeah.
coming through. For me, it's got quite a lot of sparkle
Yeah.
for something that has got that sort of churchy.
Yeah.
Oh, when you go close to
It's
it
quite
and smell it
sparkly.
up front,
Yeah.
up close.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the initial. Oh, sorry.
Initial feeling.
Yeah, the initial scent. But now that I've spraying
Yeah.
it, let's smelling up close.
It
You're right.
does
Yeah.
have bergamot, black pepper, and pink pepper at the top.
Okay, yeah.
so
So
lots
quite
of
often,
pop.
pink pepper
Yeah.
can quite often have a fair bit of sparkle to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be sparkly, and I wanted it to be kind of uplifting because
Wow.
it is it's a nice feeling. And I think, an anointing oil that's meant to bless you should feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you that feeling of it's raising you up a little bit, and
Absolutely.
that sort of that inspiration that you have
Yes.
that you should feel.
Yeah.
That when you're in
Exactly.
church and you're
Exactly.
actually doing that. So
Yeah.
we've got black pepper, we've got pink pepper, which is giving us our sparkle. We've got the bergamot, and then
Yep.
in our heart, which is obviously coming through straight
Yeah.
away in
Yeah.
the opening, we've got some frankincense in
We've
there
got
as well.
frankincense as the hero. We've got red rose again. We've got nutmeg as well. So those are the heart notes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is why it's. I mean, we teach people the opening notes, the heart notes, and the base notes, so that they
Yeah.
understand the basic structure
Yeah.
of a fragrance. But it is not linear, and it can't be. You will always start to get those heart notes coming through. It's just heart notes are going to linger, while opening notes will give you that nice sparkly introduction.
Yeah,
Eventually,
exactly.
that'll take a bit of a backseat.
Yeah, and it depends what your, top notes are. And I mean, bergamot doesn't last very long, so it will kind of shimmer and then give away to everything else.
Those heart notes. And then if we were going to go on for another 45 minutes to an hour, we'd be getting through to our base notes. What would be sitting in the base?
So there's patchouli, and there's musk, and there's some sandalwood as well.
I can't yet get the patchouli, but I'm quite taken with this because it's quite
thank you.
magical, like how it smelt in the air versus how it smells close up.
Yeah.
It's different, but
And it smells even more different, especially on my skin.
on skin, I might have to have a spray of that on the other hand. Kate. For sure.
It's probably from the old religious stories. I guess with the gifts of Jesus when he was born, but you always associate frankincense with myrrh.
There is myrrh.
We've
I
got
forgot to mention
we've got
that.
myrrh in here as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that myrrh in the base while the frankincense is in the heart? Is that the structure?
Yes, I would say that the frankincense comes first and then gives way to the myrrh, which for me is a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they similar in scent? I always feel like I
Um,
struggle to.
Yeah.
Myrrh.
Myrrh for me has a kind of a mushroom facet that the frankincense doesn't. Frankincense for me, especially with my association of burning it, is slightly more smoky and resiny, where myrrh for me is more earthy and mushroomy. So that's
Okay.
how kind of my brain differentiates them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
They are both quite heavy. So quite
Yes.
often you will find in many fragrances that frankincense will be in the base because
Yeah.
that it tends to be one of those sticky,
Yes.
heavy,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
sticks to the skin for an extended
Yeah,
period of time. It just
absolutely.
means here that our heart will last for an extended
Yeah.
period of time
Yeah.
because we've got that frankincense there.
Yes, absolutely.
And the frankincense and myrrh go together quite well.
Yeah.
So those can have that churchy type sense
Yeah.
to it.
Mhm.
Then
Yeah.
you've got the citrus with your bergamot. You've got the sparkliness there of our pink pepper.
Yeah.
Black pepper not so much sparkly, but you've got that there in the opening. There is a bit of a sweetness to this fragrance as
yes.
well.
I forgot to mention the sweetness comes from labdanum.
Ah, okay.
So it does go through to your patchouli, your myrrh, and your labdanum, which does kind of give you a bit of that sweetness that lasts on
Okay.
the skin.
Yeah. So it's not just all dry sort of
No,
fragrance. Yep. You've got that
no.
nice balance where
Yeah.
you've got a bit of sweetness in there, but again, like all of your fragrances, nothing swings too far into the uber sweet zone because
Yeah.
you want it to be nice and wearable and
That's
mature.
probably also a personal choice because I'm not a huge fan of super sweet things. Although in saying that, I did wear Angel as Angel for years and years. But I think the complexity of kind of darker tones probably is more resonant for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. What an amazing initial collection. There's so much depth
Oh, thank you so
to
much.
these fragrances, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, the when you're formulating fragrances, and I love the idea that you're formulating them for yourself to start with. So that's your
course.
preference.
Yeah.
So I guess you have to like what you make, but when you actually go about composing a fragrance, do you have a particular demographic in mind at the end, or you just formulate and see what falls out? What's the
Yeah.
approach?
To be honest, and this is probably the wrong answer from a marketing perspective, but no, I
Yeah.
have to say no,
Yeah.
because I think I want to tell universal stories that anyone can connect to. And interestingly, when I was at the Finders Keepers Market in Sydney in May, I had such a variety of ages and different types of people, from students to grandmothers with, grandkids, come through, and quite young, like teenagers, and even a few kids who are obviously being precocious. Yeah, I smell this, but yeah, a really huge variety of people coming and smelling and going, oh, I really like this. Maybe not that's not for me, but this. And so I feel like I don't want to put anything into a box for who it's for.
Yeah.
It's for whoever likes
It's whoever
it.
likes it. It's for whoever makes a connection with it, with the story, or just literally knowing nothing about it, smelling it, cold and going, yep, like it. Nope, not for me. Yeah.
Well, isn't that the beauty of being an independent artisanal perfumer in Australia, right? You don't have to sit down at head office with a particular brief saying, we've noticed that, fragrances between the 20 and 25-year-olds, male market has started to decline. So we need you to make something that hits that particular demographic, because that's quite restrictive.
Yes.
So you can actually start with your story. You can say, hey, this is the story from my culture that I'm wanting to tell, whether it be inspired by a memory, a food, some sort of iconography from your culture, and work your way backwards.
Absolutely.
And then hopefully it lands with a broad audience, but as long as you like it, which is a lovely place to be.
Definitely. I mean, even if it doesn't land it with a broad audience, there's something to be said about something finding who it's meant to find as well.
Agreed.
As long as they have a way to find it.
Yep.
But I think I don't know, there's a thing about if everyone likes it, maybe it's too generic.
Yeah, a bit too commercial, maybe.
Maybe you're answering too many ticks. So when people were coming up, and I was actually quite surprised at how honest some people were, like, yeah, no. It's like, great. It's not meant, to be for everybody, because then someone will come and say, yes. And that's the distinction, I guess, that I want for
Yeah.
someone to really
And
have a connection with it.
also part of why people buy unique niche fragrances
Exactly.
in Australia, so that you
Exactly.
can stand out or,
Mhm.
have your own special signature scent that's not
Yeah,
what everyone else is wearing. So I think
sure.
that
It's a
makes
great
sense.
conversation starter, isn't it? Like, oh,
Mm.
what is that smell? I haven't smelt anything like that before. And then
Yeah.
you can go, well, actually, it's this brand that you might not have heard
Mhm.
of before, and this is what the inspiration is. So, I mean, we quite often say that niche perfumery or artisanal perfumery is just about being independent,
Mhm.
but it's more than that. It's about doing something that's a little bit unique,
Yeah.
maybe sometimes a little bit challenging,
Yeah.
something that's sort of outside of the box, because if you're
Mhm.
operating within the box, you've got a hell of a lot of competition inside the box.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
it's going to be, vanilla. It's going to be,
Yeah.
all of that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
your standard sort of big box
Yeah.
retail. And that's not what you
Yeah.
necessarily want to do.
I like that there are no rules. You can pretty much do what you want as an independent perfumer and an artisan perfumer, because as long as you're following your IFRA guidelines and you're not you're compliant, why not mix things that you don't even think can go together?
Mm.
And that's the brilliance of just having the freedom to experiment and play.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest word that's come out of all of this for me, because yeah, you know it, but putting it into practice is just a different
And it
game.
feels like that's the era that we are currently in with the perfume in the industry is that opportunity to try things that haven't been done before or do things in a new way, take old formulas and, make them
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
One of the best things that I've gotten out of perfumery and working on this is creating with my hands. And I think in this day and age where, everything is being pushed at you through a screen, connecting with yourself, your mind, your hands. I think something magical happens when you do touch things and make things and mix things, and something spills and you smell it and you go, oh. So all of that humanness comes through. And also just taking a moment and really kind of stopping, because you can't do this if your head is somewhere else, if you're thinking of other things, if your nervous system is kind of, you will spill things, you will make mistakes, and then you will have to start again.
Yeah.
So
so the mindfulness of the actual practice
absolutely.
of creating.
You have to be present.
You have to be present.
Yeah.
And I do say somewhere in there that it's intentional, and it very much is, because I don't think you can, well, at least in my experience, I don't think you can do this work without being intentional and mindful, because it's very personal, it's very intricate, it's complex, but within all that, you kind of need to just calm down, sit, be inside your own little cocoon, and create that atmosphere however you get there, and create that way.
Yeah. So you can create that sort of broader vision.
Absolutely.
And I guess you need patience too for all the different iterations that you.
Oh, yes, patience. Patience is a virtue for sure. I've had to work on that through this process, yes.
So typically, how many iterations do you do of a fragrance before you're happy with it? Is there a typical, or?
To be honest, they've all been very, very different, and things that I'm working on now and I've, been working on before that are not ready. They're all really different, because I see them as different worlds. And because you're using different materials, trying to build different worlds and, trying to paint a different picture, they're all quite different. From memory, I think Elixir took the longest, because I was having some memory issues. And so trying to balance, keeping the integrity of what I fell in love with, which felt right, but having to reformulate was really, really challenging. I think I got up to maybe about 20
iterations. Okay,
Yeah.
so a lot of patience.
A lot of patience, yes. And a lot of kind of telling myself to come down from the ceiling, because it's a really difficult thing to go, oh, yes, I've got it, and then no, I can't have that.
Yeah.
Is that sorry?
No, I was going to say, in a way, it's quite solitary as well.
It is. It definitely is, because you're in your space, you're at your desk, you're mixing away. But what I've really enjoyed, and I'm quite a collaborative person. I do like sharing with people and getting ideas and talking through things. And one thing that I didn't know, and not all perfumers do this, but it is a thing in the industry, a specialty called an evaluator. So you will work with an evaluator to actually sit down, smell,
Yeah.
is this working?
Okay.
Isn't that working? I think it's just kind of having another person,
Mm.
because you're so in your head.
Mm.
You can become blind nose-wise and
Yeah.
just mind-wise as well. So I worked really closely with Jocelyn Fullerton, who's my teacher and mentor, which is so lovely, to evaluate and kind of bounce ideas off. And I really loved that process, because you end up just talking in a way that if someone listened to you from the side, you'd sound maybe slightly crazy. You're talking about it's not brown enough, or you need a little bit more velvet, or
Mm. Mm.
but it's a lovely world to be a part
Yeah,
of.
someone who understands the language of what you're communicating in
Oh,
terms of the formulation.
100%. And her passion for what she does is so infectious. If you walk in there, like, oh, I don't know, it didn't work, or I don't know what I'm doing. It takes her about 5 minutes for you to be like, ah, I'm in love with this industry. I know it's all going to be fine. So she's a treasure.
So you mentioned that Alexa took you the longest because you were having some issues with being, I guess, IFRA compliant. So this is one of the challenges of formulating. So you'll always, you've got a vision of what you're wanting to make. So in
Yes.
each one of the fragrances that we've discussed so far, we've got a particular heart note that is the champion. So with
Yeah.
Elixir, it's that chocolatey
Yeah.
cacao note with the and I'm gonna do this no justice here. It's the color of
Noor.
Nor.
Yes.
Noor.
Mm-hmm.
I love how poetic you make that, because even with our next fragrance, which is Meron,
Yep.
I
Perfect.
would have just done the Aussie Meron, and I would have butchered that as well. So we've got our pomegranate heart, or we've got our frankincense heart there. And you'll create the fragrance and go, I want it to smell really frankincense-y or very pomegranate-y.
Yeah.
Pomegranate-y.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's a word.
we'll make it a word.
We'll make it a word. Yeah.
So you'll formulate it, but then you'll look at the IFRA regulations. You go, oh, actually, there's only a certain quantity of this particular note that I'm allowed to use in terms of safety protocol, and you have to dial it back, and then that's going to change the scent, and you have to
absolutely.
rebalance it again, and so it's that back and forward to try and get what your original vision is. That's where the challenge sort of lies.
Yeah. And sometimes it's easier than other times. I mean, Noor gave me some trouble as well, because I was high up on a particular ingredient quite a lot. So again, it's a great learning experience as well, because you're solving problems. A problem that you're going to keep having. You're working with, different ingredients all the time. So it's finding the ways and the tricks to make it retain its integrity. And that's a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
The
I'm
huge
sure-
learning curves of these 2 years.
I'm sure that's never going to be over, is it? Because really, IFRA constantly changes the rules.
Yes.
And so you could find yourself in another 12 months' time where they've changed things, and you have to go back and reformulate
not.
again.
Yeah.
Um,
And then on top of it, you've got the supply issues that you're mentioning. Sometimes you can't get a certain ingredient anymore, or it's difficult to get for a period of time.
It's a very fast-moving world in terms of ingredients, because it fluctuates. The prices fluctuate, the supply fluctuates. So it's a luck of the draw sometimes what you can get and when you can get it. Because I was out of frankincense for the launch last year, and I literally was emailing the supplier, every couple of days going, when's it coming? Come on, please. Because I didn't want to then have to reformulate with a different frankincense. I knew this is what I wanted. This was the one. And also I was using a lot of other frankincense-y things to build on top. So I didn't know how those things were going to react to a different kind of a frankincense. It was just opening up a whole Pandora's box that I didn't want to go into.
So to offset that sort of risk in the future, are you able to sort of stockpile ingredients, or do they degrade over time, or how do you balance that?
I mean, they do, and some materials degrade at a different pace than others. Like your citruses go off, so you have to keep them in a fridge,
Mm.
keep them lasting. Um, it also is a financial
Mm.
question.
Yeah.
I do use a lot of naturals, which are quite expensive, so it's a balancing act.
Yeah,
So you have
Mm.
to figure out what works for you in that moment, and
Yeah.
what you need. But
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of these,
Mhm.
when you say it's a financial decision, some of these ingredients are extraordinarily expensive.
Yes.
Rose you've
Oh,
used
yep.
a couple of times in your
Yep.
fragrances. That's an
It's
extraordinarily
a very
expensive
expensive
ingredient.
ingredient. Yeah, very expensive ingredient.
Because you have to use just so much volume of rose just to get your rose oil in the first
Yes.
place.
Yes.
Right.
And that,
Yep.
I mean, that's one example of many, many different ingredients that are
Yep.
extraordinarily expensive to
Yep.
buy. Some are more expensive than
Mhm.
others. Hence why there is the use of a lot of synthetics in
Yes.
many of the mainstream
Mhm.
fragrances. We have
Mhm.
to use synthetics as well in any fragrance
Oh,
because
of course.
you just
Yeah.
can't use it. It's just not on the table. If I've said, no, that's a dangerous chemical or
Mhm.
whatever it might be,
Yeah.
or you just can't make it. And in a number of the
Mm.
notes that you've described in your fragrances,
Yeah.
you can't just grab the pomegranate
No,
and
of
chuck it
course not.
in, or you can't grab the brandy and just pour it straight in.
Yeah.
You've got to create the accord in the first place. And
Yeah.
in order to create that smell,
Mhm.
you need to pull a whole bunch of different
Yeah.
individual notes together.
Absolutely. And an interesting thing, I mean, I can say this because I thought of it. I thought the same way, that oh, if everything is natural, it's better. I think there's a bit of it's a whole other podcast, I think. But, well, a lot of the things that are being banned or kind of the limit being taken up are naturals because naturals are complex. And,
Yep,
rose
absolutely.
has 200 plus chemicals. So
Yeah.
it's a balancing act, and it's also education
Yes.
because I walked into Jocelyn's atelier and I went, oh, I want to make 100% natural fragrance. And she went, great. Can I ask why? I went, because it's better.
Yeah.
It's better for you. So, and you can't blame people for thinking that way because, yeah, it's natural.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to understand um, the relationship between all these ingredients and the dosage and how they
Yeah.
work and why they're being banned or why they're being limited.
Absolutely.
Versus the one molecule synthetic that
Mm.
is completely harmless.
Mm.
It's
Well,
very interesting.
It's interesting, yeah.
arsenic is natural as well.
Yeah.
So,
We'll leave it there.
yeah.
But I just sort of think, it's
Mm.
marketing. It's what we see everywhere. It's not just on fragrance, but like if you think
Mm.
about, food and what you
Yeah.
put, other things you put on your skin, like
Yeah.
creams and cosmetics.
Mm.
We're told a story, and of
Yeah.
course that story's been told for a long time. So
And you want to
we-
choose the best thing that's for you. You can't blame a consumer for
yeah,
wanting to know what's in it, which they should.
yeah,
But also the education side of it, I think, probably needs to come in at some point because
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of naturals can be quite irritating to the skin. There can be all sorts of issues with it. I think from our discussions with, I mean, we've had a number of natural perfumers on the show,
Yeah.
and our understanding of why they like to work with naturals is because naturals present a real challenge.
such a challenge.
Because you're
Such a challenge.
absolutely the
Yeah.
number of I guess paints in your
Yeah. Yeah. Your palette is
palette
limited.
is limited,
Yeah.
which forces a certain degree of creativity with it. And they'd
Absolutely.
love to challenge themselves to create something that's complex and deep
Mhm.
with just a smaller array of things
Yeah.
that are at their disposal. So it's not necessarily about telling the consumer that
No.
natural is
No,
good.
not at all.
No, or it's just a natural love for, the botanical
Yeah.
itself or what
Yeah.
have you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can
I
inspire.
have to say, like through this whole process, coming from somewhere where I didn't know anything about ingredients, processes, where things come from, it's actually quite incredible when you realize how long a single ingredient takes to get to you as a perfumer from a little seed to your table, and how many hands touch it. And when you find out that entire communities and families, are involved in the growth of this one ingredient, that keeps communities afloat.
Mhm.
That people get up at 3 a.m. to pick jasmine flowers before, they slightly open up. I mean, I have just the greatest respect for these ingredients. Yeah. And the people that,
Mm.
make them come to life as a
Mm.
raw perfumery ingredient. Yeah.
Mm.
So I would probably say that, rather than people worrying so much when it comes to perfumery anyway, worrying about whether something is, natural or synthetic, I'd probably say worry more about the ethical sourcing of ingredients. Because as you said,
Mhm.
entire
Mm.
communities can be built around the
Yes.
sourcing of these individual ingredients. Some of them are extraordinarily labor intensive. And you want to make sure that those communities aren't being taken advantage of, that we're not using child labor, that we're not underpaying those communities, and they're not working in dangerous conditions. So
Absolutely.
that's definitely something that I would probably
Mm.
want to focus on over whether
Yeah.
something's natural or synthetic.
For sure. For sure.
I guess we probably don't need to worry so much about natural or synthetic because we've got IFRA who are guiding us through as to what's dangerous and
Yeah.
what's not in terms of what their research is. So in terms of, I guess, the ethical sourcing of ingredients, is that something that is a bit of a factor when you're out there, searching for
Oh,
ingredients?
yes, of course. Yes, of course. I mean, I've built a brand that is telling cultural stories. So I think part of that is making sure that other cultures that I'm taking ingredients from, like you say, are not exploited.
Absolutely. Yeah, really important.
Mhm.
Fantastic. So I guess we've explored the broader range now. We've probably given Elixir enough time now to have dried down enough for us to sort of visit
Yeah.
the base notes. So we'll get stuck into the base, but just before we do, let's just take a moment to return to our perfume pyramid. So again, on your screen, the perfume pyramid is there. We've gone through our opening notes, we've gone through our heart notes, and we're now in the base. Now, you've heard me explain as we've gone through the conversation here that the way that the notes unfold aren't quite in this linear manner where our heart notes haven't disappeared completely. So when we get our nose back onto the fragrance, we are still going to have elements of the opening notes there. They're just taking a little bit of a backseat. But what we'll have in our base is those darker, denser, heavier notes. So those will be our woods and our resins, the things that will stick to our skin and stay on our skin for an extended period of time. And this is where we really get the longevity from our fragrance. That's where we get the 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, however long the fragrance tends to last. It comes from those heavier, denser notes that are sitting in the base. So that's why it's sitting at the very bottom of our pyramid there. So
This show is proudly sponsored by Watchvault, Australia's premier destination for luxury and vintage timepieces. Every watch is trusted, verified, and ready for its next chapter. Visit watchvault.com.au to discover your next timeless investment.
with our base notes now now explained, let's have another sniff and then you can
Yeah.
take us through our base notes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. So
Yeah.
what are the notes that we're experiencing here in the base?
So you mentioned the stickiness,
Yes.
which comes from the labdanum. That's in there. I use that to just hike up that sweetness, the chocolate sweetness, the vanilla sweetness, because that's kind of the feeling that I wanted to leave for the wearer. So it does start off with the booziness, the chocolate, but then it's kind of the. There's also the woody oak, and that was a really important note to use because of those oak barrels, what the brandy is aged in. So that does also come through quite strongly.
Absolutely. Definitely got that woodiness. I think you mentioned that patchouli.
Yes. And the patchouli just kind of helps it ground that wood. Yeah.
I've also found, I don't know, I've seen chocolate and patchouli put together before in fragrance. They seem to complement each other
Yeah.
quite well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, because I guess the association with patchouli is that it's a bit of a dirty or a dirt-related note,
Yeah.
but it works so well with chocolate.
You're right. I guess maybe because without us realizing anything that's earthy is natural and comforting. And there is something that perhaps connects the comfort of the chocolate and that feeling of nourishment along with the smell of something that is earth and natural,
Mm.
where other things that nourish us come from. I don't know. That's the
Yeah.
association that my
Mm.
mind is making with
Yeah.
the two.
Yeah, and I haven't actually thought about it for a while, but way back when we were experimenting and we did purchase a lot of different samples and smelling things, I would often think that patchouli had a bit of a chocolatey or cocoa-y type smell. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, 'cause it's probably not right to say that earthiness and dirtiness are the same thing, right? Because I think they're probably quite different.
Yeah.
That earthy
Mm.
smell is what like a dark, non-sweet chocolate
Chocolate. Yes.
has in it.
Yes.
So they're probably quite interchangeable. Whereas, and there's, I guess, every note is a spectrum, isn't it? So when we talk about patchouli, I've smelt some very dirty smelling patchoulis, some
Yeah.
very earthy smelling patchoulis, and it. I guess that's the art form, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
especially when we're dealing with either a natural or a synthetic. With synthetics, we can obviously go through and make alterations to a particular note. We can delete certain facets and enhance others. And so what you get out of patchouli isn't necessarily standard.
Yeah.
But what you've got here in the base complements that chocolate just
Thank you.
so well. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So we haven't lost the chocolate. Chocolate's still
No.
No, it's
there.
definitely
Yeah.
there.
It's definitely the hero.
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely beautiful.
Nice dry down. Yeah.
Definitely gourmand, but not sweet gourmand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to stick to definitely a date night fragrance for me. I think it smells very yummy. All right. So in our base, we've got patchouli. We've got the woody oak. I think you mentioned earlier labdanum. Labdanum as well. Fantastic. So, and all of that sort of balances it out to keep it that sort of on the drier
It's
side.
definitely a dry sweetness.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Beautiful. So, in terms of the longevity of this fragrance, so I just mentioned that that the base notes provide the longevity to the fragrance.
Yes.
What could somebody really expect in terms of longevity from Elixir?
I found that on my skin, it goes from about 4 to 6 hours, depending on weather. Yeah.
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 So,
There are a lot of naturals which are quite long lasting, quite dense materials, like your sandalwood and your patchouli and your labdanum. So they do kind of push it along
yeah,
timing
absolutely.
wise. Yeah.
Yep.
And often when we talk about the longevity of the fragrance, there's I guess there's a few elements to how you smell a fragrance. So obviously we've got the projection of the fragrance, we've got the sillage, so that nice little trail that's left as well. But then we're left with sort of a skin sense. So we might lose some of the high degree of of how much it will project necessarily, or how much sillage that it leaves after 4 to 6 hours. But we could probably smell this fragrance for an extended period of time as a skin scent as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in my head, it becomes even more intimate. And you're the only one or someone super close to you can smell it. It becomes more for you rather than something that, passes by or someone sitting close to you can smell. So it's more intimate.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly with a dark fragrance like this, where it does have, patchouli, it's got chocolate. I'd imagine this is going to stick to my skin for, well longer than, 4 to 6 hours. I think it's going to last for quite a long time. Yeah, absolutely. And so sort of wintry, although we can wear it in sort of any circumstances, just really depends.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've got our beautiful chocolate fragrance here. So I guess the question for me is, each one of the 3 fragrances here, there's a hero note, right? So we've got the pomegranate, we've got our chocolate, and we've got our
Pomegranate, chocolate, and then the
frankincense.
frankincense. Yes. So.
Just drew a blank there. Thank you. Thank you for saving me from drowning. So frankincense, pomegranate, and chocolate. Is that the way you will always approach things in terms of how you'll formulate in the future? Will you always sort of choose a hero note, or?
To be honest, I think it probably depends on the story, because these 3 fragrances, it was definitely about the subject. So
that's the starting point.
It's the starting point for
story.
Yeah, the story that I'm trying to tell. I'm working on something currently that is very much a painting. So all of the elements are have to kind of work together, and there is not one focal point if you imagine a landscape. So I think it will vary. It depends
Mm.
on yeah
Okay.
the
On the
story
subject,
and
yeah.
and the subject of what
Mm.
I'm trying to talk about.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
suppose it's quite
Mm.
already across these three fragrances, the subject is quite variable, right? So
Yeah.
we've got I guess elixir is a bit of a memory of, that time spent together,
Mhm.
Yeah.
sharing
Special
food
occasion
Yeah.
with our
together.
family and our
Mm.
friends.
Yeah.
But then the other fragrances are either, based on a movie or
Or
uh,
the bigger
symbol.
ones,
Yeah.
the last one's kind of like rebirth, right? So that's a
Yeah.
very big concept and idea.
absolutely. So
Right.
it's got that sort of religious facet to it.
Yeah.
So really, when
Yeah.
you're talking about being able to draw inspiration for your brand,
Yeah.
and you can draw from an entire culture, it's not necessarily always going to be a memory or necessarily
Sure.
always a particular thing. It'll be
Yeah.
just whatever inspires you. So
Yeah.
you said you've already got something in mind, and we don't need to give anything away on the show because people will hold you to it. They say, hey, you told me you were going to produce this fragrance.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
But you've already got a few things in mind, I'd
Mm.
imagine, that you're wanting
Mhm.
to explore down the track.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there a common theme that ties them all together, or is it just the theme is Armenian culture?
I think I'd say the theme is just Armenia in a wider context, because it could be cultural, it could be from nature, it could be a particular fairy tale or a novel or a person. I mean, I don't want to, say, oh, it's this, and then kind of
Have to move it.
yeah, pigeonhole myself into something. Oh, well, I've said it's this, so it has to come from there.
Mm.
Or it could just be something that comes from me because I'm part of that.
Yeah.
So I chose to tell Armenian stories. I guess it's kind of like a writer. They say, write what you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I wanted to tell stories that I connect with and mean something to me. And in that, find other people that will resonate with that. Because at the end of the day, they're all kind of really human, universal stories. Everyone can connect with
Yeah.
family, can connect with feeling, comforted or protected. But
Yeah.
it's from a particular lens.
Hmm.
So,
And I love that because I sort of think to myself, we're here in Australia,
Mm.
right? So, and obviously it's very multicultural, but I don't know many
Mhm.
other brands with a spotlight on
Mhm.
Armenian
Yeah. Yep.
stories, culture,
Yeah.
food, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
So, well done. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised there aren't, but I'm glad to be, well, if not the first, one of the first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a great way to experience a
Yeah.
culture through
Yes.
that lens.
Mhm.
So you can go to Armenia, and
Yeah.
I'd probably encourage people to
Oh,
do that as part of
absolutely.
broadening their
Yeah,
scope in terms of their travel. But
for sure.
what a great way to experience a culture through scent, because
Yeah.
there's so much that gets picked up through scent.
Yeah.
You walk through any market
Mhm.
anywhere, and it'll
Mhm.
have a particular culture that sort of
Yeah.
screams to you because
Yeah.
the
Mm.
food and the
Mhm.
scents and things,
Mhm.
that's really what can communicate the culture beyond
Yeah.
the outfits or the religion or the whatever
Music.
else that
Yeah.
makes it up.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's a whole tapestry,
Yeah.
a
Mm.
culture. And I love
Yeah.
the fact that because you are Armenian, you really can go anywhere. It's just, if I feel that way, well, I'm Armenian. That's what I can express, and that's going to be the
Yeah.
expression of Armenia and
absolutely.
Armenian culture. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
And we've
guess,
actually spoken about this on our mid-season wrap, how that's what brings so much richness to the
Mhm.
Australian perfume
Mhm.
industry
Mhm.
is because all of the creative people like yourself who
Yeah.
are creating perfumes have got such diverse backgrounds to draw upon. And
Yeah.
isn't that just incredible?
yeah, it's
It
a nice,
It's so rich.
it's a beautiful
Mm.
fusion as well, because
Yeah.
I guess you're here in Australia, and you've grown up in Australia as
Yeah.
well, and you've got that fusion of background.
Yeah.
So you're an Australian perfumer
Mhm.
producing an Australian perfume brand that has Armenian culture fused into it,
Yeah.
and that's why the Australian perfume scene is just so diverse. Is
Yeah.
because we are that
Yeah.
multicultural melting
Sure.
pot that gives that sort of angle there, which
Yeah.
I love.
Mm.
And
It's
so
exciting for the consumer.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, amazing choice. I'm sure you're going to find something that speaks to you.
if you
Mm.
can't find something
Yeah.
that fits you in Australia, honestly, I think maybe the average consumer isn't quite aware of just how diverse the
Yeah.
Australian perfume industry is.
I
But
don't
I think,
think they would be like
No.
until you start diving down into it a bit.
yeah, and you can't really blame them, right? Because where do you get the vast majority of your fragrances, right? You wander into Maya, you wander into
Yeah,
David
yeah.
Jones, you wander into Mecca or big box store, and what are you presented with? Very few Australian brands. And of those very few Australian brands, most of them have subsequently been purchased by L'Oreal or
As it
Estee
happens.
Lauder or one of those, right? So are they still Australian? I'm not sure. But there's very, very little choice out there. And so there's, getting your hands onto Australian perfume requires you to actually actively go out there
Go and look for it,
and search it out. So I guess if somebody wanted to actually find your fragrances, where would they start?
Online.
Online?
Online, ARAKYÁL.co and all the socials. But I found that being out and about and meeting people in person there's just nothing like it, especially for fragrance. So I'm trying to find places where I can go and really meet people. So the Finders Keepers was amazing. I'm going to be back there in November. I'm also going to be in Geelong for the fragrance fair, which I'm really, really excited about. Just connect, because that's what it's all about.
Fantastic. And that
Yeah.
that event, the Geelong Fragrance Fair, is coming up relatively soon. I think it's
Yes.
around the 11th of September up there in Geelong. So definitely jump online and get those details, because you'll see ARAKYÁL and a whole range of different Australian perfume brands there. Finders Keeper market is great as well. We often see quite a lot of Australian brands there at the Finders Keeper market. So it's great that consumers can actually, I guess, try before they buy, experiment, talk directly to the perfumer themselves. But for those people who are maybe driving at the moment and missed the website there, ARAKYÁL.co, we'll make sure that that's actually embedded within the description on Spotify and on Apple Music. And on your screen now, we'll have that website rolling across the bottom of your screen. What's popping up on your screen as well is a QR code. That QR code is to olfactive.com.au, where we'll have a full profile on ARAKYÁL and on Alina, and we'll also connect you to the website there. So absolutely no excuse for why people can't actually find your brand online. And of course, jump onto socials, follow you, and I'm sure when you are going to one of the markets, you'll advertise that so people can come along and actually meet you in person and experience some of these fragrances. So I guess you have said that you're already working on something. So I guess what we can deduce from that is that the 3 fragrances that we've got here is just the starting point, and we're going to be expanding in the future.
I mean, that's the plan. I'd love to, release more and more and more and more. There's a lot of stories to be told, and a lot have already started. So, I want to give them life. I want them to go out there and for people to experience them. Working also in a collaboration with a dear friend on something that's going to be more kind of in the feel-good space, which is really, really exciting. So hopefully that will come out soon. So busy.
All right. So you got a few things on the go.
A few things on the go.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Really nice.
So do you have a sense of when you might be releasing your next fragrance?
If everything goes according to plan, fingers crossed, I'm hoping it's going to be in November.
Oh, so it could be this year.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm hoping, but let's see.
Fantastic.
Ever changing and movable world. So
Absolutely. And so for fans, you've heard through the course of the show how complex it can be when we release a fragrance. So, keeping compliant with IFRA, getting our packaging across, things sitting on the dock, all sorts of complexity. So if it's not in November, that was the plan. It's coming sometime in the next 12 months. It's going to land.
Something to look
It's gonna
forward
land.
to.
So
definitely.
fantastic.
Definitely.
And
And of course, you have a discovery set as well. Is that right? You do
Yes,
have one. Yes,
I do.
Yes.
I do.
So if people can't make it to the markets,
Yeah.
they can experience your fragrance that way as well.
Definitely.
absolutely. And of course, we do our very best on the show to, sort of extrapolate the notes and provide a description. And I guess we've spoken about how the The cacao here is a little bit dry and dusty rather than sweet, and we're doing our best to describe it, but there absolutely is no replacement for getting your nose onto these fragrances.
Absolutely.
Get the discovery pack, check it out, see what you like, but also what works on your skin, and do what we've done today. Go through the full dry down. And what I'd probably recommend is go through the masterclass. So purchase the discovery pack, sit back down, listen to the episode again, and actually have Alina take you through just like she has with us today. And then you'll have a greater appreciation of what the fragrance is all about. Fantastic. Well, Alina, I've got to say, it has been a real pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for taking us on the masterclass through Elixir.
Gosh, thank you so much for having me. What an absolute treat.
Oh, thank you. I've absolutely enjoyed so much experiencing your fragrances. We did wait to smell them, and I'm so glad we did, because I think it's been absolutely wonderful to get the stories and, experience it with you.
Absolutely. It is quite important. You did offer, quite a long time ago to send us the fragrances in advance. And we do like to wait until we get onto the show to really experience it. So people really know that our first reaction is a genuine reaction. And my reaction to each one of your fragrances has been they're extraordinary.
That means a lot.
It's a beautiful brand, really sophisticated scents.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Really
Obviously, very
well-rounded.
talented for somebody who's been a perfumer for less than 2 years, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, my first lesson was April 7th, 2024. So
Okay.
Yeah.
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 been-
Wow.
bit over.
Fascinating.
Been a few years now, but absolutely.
Amazing talent.
Yeah, for a very young brand,
Yes.
it is a very well-rounded collection. I think that you could actually purchase all three and be done with your collection, because you've got something for winter and autumn, you've got something for spring and summer, you've got something for date night, you've got something for
That's
work,
true.
you've got a very well-rounded collection. So I think it's quite well curated. So well done to you for releasing
Thank you very much.
these three. And I'm going to be really excited to see what this fourth one is in the pipeline.
Me too.
So we'll be keeping our eye on you, and also that this collaboration as well, sort of
Yes.
alluded to that that was
Yep,
sort of
very excited
maybe
about that.
something a slightly different direction for you as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
really excited to see, and of course we'll be coming up to the fragrance fair in Geelong as
Oh,
well. So we'll make
amazing.
sure that we stop by your stall and have
That'll be lovely.
more sniffs of your beautiful fragrances for you. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic. So Alina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us once again, as we've had a wonderful masterclass and exploring the wonderful world of ARAKYÁL. So take care until next time, and we'll see you then.
Thank you and goodbye.